Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mormon News Roundup. I am your host, Steve A's, and that is Talent on loan from Kolob. Today we're going to have a really important letter that I'm going to be reading on behalf of Jeff Andersen. It's a letter that touches on some crucial topics that have been sparking a lot of controversy within the Latter-day Saint community. This is a deeply personal message from Jeff, who's been grappling with these issues, and it offers some serious food for thought for members of the church and beyond. But before we delve into Jeff's words, I just want to thank you all for your continued support. Whether you're questioning your faith, standing firm in it, or simply curious about these issues, we're here to explore them together. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content. All right, let's get into it.
Welcome to the Mormon News Roundup, your go-to source for the latest headlines and critical analysis on all things LDS.
Breaking news!
Join A's
Mormon News Roundup.
That's talent on loan from Kolob every Sunday and Monday night.
We will uncover the truth behind the news that matters most to the Mormon community.
Here is Jeff Andersen's letter.
July 3rd, 2024. An open letter to the leaders of the Temple Department. Dear Brent Roberts, Managing Director of the Church's Special Projects Department. Gérald Caussé, Presiding Bishop of the Church. Kent Richards, Executive Director of the Temple Department. Kevin Duncan, Assistant Executive Director in the Temple Department. And David Bednar, Head of the Temple and Family History Executive Council.
As a lifelong member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and current Temple Recommend holder, I wanted to contact you regarding a growing concern I have. As you will see, many individuals have added their names to this letter to show that they share these concerns. Recent actions by the church relating to the building of temples have caused me to wonder whether we are following Jesus' teachings as recorded in Matthew chapter 7, verse 12, which reads,
Therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. Or his teaching recorded in several places to love thy neighbor as thyself.
Or Jesus' teachings recorded in several other places, including the injunction to love thy neighbor as thyself. I recognize that temples are held sacred by millions of members around the globe, and I'm grateful that I have a dedicated space in which to draw closer to God. I also recognize the church's desire to make the temple more geographically accessible for as many members of the church as possible. However, recent actions leave me wondering whether we, as a church, are looking beyond the mark. On May 3rd, 2024, the church joined the dispute between Wasatch County and a small group of residents to presumably defend its desire to build a Heber Valley temple as planned. But that was without considering the concerns of residents or local ordinances. I believe residents have made it clear that a temple is welcome, but have asked that it comply with local ordinances and be built in consideration of the surroundings and dark sky initiatives. Joining the suit rather than listening to the concerns of residents seems to directly contradict Jesus' teachings in Matthew chapter 7, verse 40.
And if any man will sue thee at the law, and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also.
When disputes arise and we would like to offer a gift to God, Jesus counseled that we must
leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift.
If we consider temples as a gift or a sacrifice to God, should we not leave that gift at the altar, be reconciled to our siblings in the Heber Valley area, and then offer a gift that will help all come closer to God, including residents for whom the current proposal is a cause for concern? On March 7, 2024, a letter was sent from Melissa McKinney on behalf of the church, telling some residents of the proposed McKinney temple site that the temple would be built. This letter indicates that plans call for a 2-story temple, and please be assured that this project is consistent with city regulations. My understanding is that the zoning in this area calls for a maximum 35-foot roof height, and that the church has asked for an exemption to that height restriction since the temple has a proposed 65-foot roof peak and 170-foot steeple. If I were a resident informed that a 2-story temple would be built consistent with city regulations, I would not anticipate a building with a 65-foot roof peak and a 173-foot steeple. The way this letter was sent to residents provides only vague information and misleads recipients to believe that the temple will meet current city regulations and makes me extremely uncomfortable and has very understandably made residents feel deceived. In March or April, the Fisco Stake Presidency and Sherman Stake Presidency sent a letter to the members of those stakes at the direction of Jonathan Cannon, the local Area 70, asking the members to communicate to the planning manager, Israel Roberts, that the height of the steeple of the temple is part of our religious observance. I was surprised to read these words since even as a lifelong member, the steeple has never been a part of my religious observance. My family and I had the pleasure of attending the Paris Friends Temple open house before it was dedicated, and we noticed that it does not have a steeple at all. The lack of steeple did not interfere with how close we felt to God in the temple that day, nor does the lack of steeple interfere with a religious observance within that temple. Church members worship in at least 3 other temples, namely Laie Hawaii, Mesa, Arizona, and Cardston, Alberta, that do not have steeples, and countless small congregations within the church meet weekly in rented houses, school cafeterias, and other spaces without steeples. I myself attended powerful meetings in such spaces during my 2-year mission for the church. To now say that a steeple, and especially the height of the steeple, is part of our religious observance does not seem accurate. Thus, if I lived in this area and was asked to express this sentiment to the planning manager, I would not do so. The aforementioned letter also tells the members that
a key message of the communication to planning manager, Israel Roberts, needs to be on the importance of the temple and how it allows you to worship as you choose, to practice your faith, and that the building itself is a symbol of your faith, including the steeple if you feel to be specific in that regard.
This statement brought back to my mind the words of Gordon B. Hinckley, who was the president of the church during my most formative years, when he was answering questions following the rededication of the Mesa, Arizona temple, which ironically, and as mentioned before, does not include a steeple. President Hinckley relayed the exchange as follows.
A Protestant minister asked, "If you do not use the cross, what is the symbol of your religion?" I replied that the lives of our people must become the most meaningful expression of our faith and, in fact, therefore, the symbol of our worship.
The symbol of our faith must be the way that we follow Jesus' counsel in Mark chapter 12, verse 31. On May 14, 2024, an attorney representing the church in the Las Vegas Planning Commission asserted that
the size of the building, including its tall walls, are necessary symbols of faith, as well as it is important to the religious services that temples have very high walls and ceilings. Also, the temple's large, beautiful, and grand exterior symbolizes the hope, faith, and peace and strength provided by God.
I can't help but think about where the first endowments were administered 180 years ago on the upper floor of the red brick store in Nauvoo, Illinois. There was nothing large, beautiful, and grand about the exterior or interior of that building. Were those ordinances any less valid because of the ordinary, dim, and small nature of the building? Another room that comes to mind is that upper room where Jesus administered the Last Supper to his disciples. Surely there was nothing large, beautiful, and grand about that room either. And yet the attorneys stated in the same meeting that
for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, temples are literally houses of the Lord Jesus Christ, designed to honor and symbolize his life, mission, and teachings.
If this is the case, would the temple not better honor and symbolize Jesus' life, mission, and teachings if we treated the residents of these cities where the church would like to build temples with love, respect, and forthrightness? This letter is sent out of sincere concern and love for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I fear that current actions, as well as others relating to these and other temples, do not align with President Russell M. Nelson's counsel.
If you are serious about helping to gather Israel and about building relationships that will last throughout the eternities, now is the time to lay aside bitterness. Now is the time to cease insisting that it is your way or no way. Now is the time to stop doing things that make others walk on eggshells for fear of upsetting you. Now is the time to bury your weapons of war. Let us show that there is a peaceful and respectful way to resolve complex issues and an enlightened way to work out disagreements.
The actions of the church and parties acting on the church's behalf are having a devastating impact on the relationship members within the impacted communities have with their friends, neighbors, and community. Rather than being interested in and open to the message our church and its members would like to share, people are on guard, cautious, and even suspicious. Rather than the temple being seen as a light on a hill sharing the good news of the gospel, it is seen as something forced upon a community against their will and despite their misgivings, concerns, or even local laws and regulations. Individuals feel deceived rather than uplifted, forced rather than loved, and ignored rather than included. It is difficult for individual members to follow President Nelson's counsel to be peacemakers when the church is taking such contentious actions and even asking members locally to participate. Some church members receiving this instruction feel like they are left to choose between following the counsel of their priesthood leader or following their understanding of the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. Following the priesthood leader would mean ignoring concerns of residents as well as the laws of the land, namely the 12th article of faith.
We believe in being subject to kings, presidents, rulers, and magistrates, in obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law.
It would also mean misrepresenting certain aspects of our temple, faith, and worship, making some feel like they can't answer the temple recommend question of, quote, do you strive to be honest in all that you do, end quote, in the affirmative. But ignoring these requests or speaking out against them means risking losing access to the temple at all, since one of the temple recommend questions is, quote, do you sustain the other general authorities and local leaders of the church? Members of the church should not be put into this position. Our hope is that temples globally, and specifically in the communities of McKinney, Texas, Lone Mountain, Nevada, Heber Valley, Utah, Bakersfield, California, and Cody, Wyoming can and will be seen as representing the truth that all are alike unto God. This is not currently how the temple is seen. If we want to change this, I believe one critical step is that we must be more Christ-like in the way we plan, propose, and integrate temples into communities around the world. Sincerely, Jeff Andersen, Gainesville Stake, Virginia. Add your name publicly or anonymously here, and it has been signed by quite a few people. There you have it, folks. That was Jeff Andersen's letter. Powerful, right? There's so much to unpack here, especially when it comes to questions surrounding how the church is approaching its temple construction. Now I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on what Jeff had to say? Do you agree, disagree, or have your own experiences to share? And are you going to sign his petition? Drop your comments down below and let's get the conversation started. As always, thanks so much for tuning in, and if you haven't already, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you stay in the loop on all things in the Mormon news. We've got more important content coming your way, so stick around. Always think celestial, and remember, no unhallowed hand can stop this podcast from progressing.
And yet to see thy temple spire is reaching to the sky. It's made the way God wants it, insanely tall.